is classic me. 10 days later, I'm finally recording the video that I said I was going to post a week after the first one. I did plan it out with the weekend, but the weekend just was a bit of a write-off really, so here we are. But anyway, the fact I'm doing it at all, I'm proud of. So I was trying to decide what to cover. I don't want these to be like really doom and gloom, but I thought about it and I thought if I cover off the stuff I struggle with first, then that's probably what's interesting to people at the moment, and then I was gonna kind of in future videos go over things that I do that help me. So I guess there's a few different ways that being autistic affects me the most, and I thought an interesting one to start on might be sensory differences, because I think sensory differences are a lot more complex than people think, and people just kind of think of a stereotypical, maybe I'm going to be stereotypical, but like a 5-year-old autistic boy having a meltdown in the supermarket because the light's too bright and there's too much going on, etc. But a lot of the time they're a lot more subtle than that, and they're kind of constant as well. It's not just extreme, it's like everyday stuff. So I was just going to go over some of the stuff I struggle with to try and give a bit of context. So I had to think about kind of the 5 senses, and I'm lucky in that some of them I don't particularly struggle with. I guess if I really thought about it, I could probably find ways that I do struggle with them slightly, but the 2 sort of things that I struggle with the most are touch, and then sound is like the big one for me. So I was just going to go into both of those in a little bit more detail. I haven't yet figured out if there's a way to hide my face when I'm filming this, but I find it really distracting to see myself because the whole time I'm just like, is that actually how I look? It's not as well prepared as my first one because it's like, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 4:30 because Cloud smacked me around the face because he wanted my love, which, fair enough. And I've just got out of the shower. There's not enough good lighting to put the laptop on the windowsill and use the outside light, so here I am doing a bit of a botch job, but this is real. Anyway, so touch, I was going to go over first. So yeah, I guess I don't struggle with, I know a few people with sensory issues around sort of like really quite severe sensory issues around what clothes they wear and things like that. I do generally these days try and stick to like comfy stuff, but I don't think I was ever one of those kids or people that's really fussy with what they wear and can't wear anything restrictive. Like, I can deal with it, but I've kind of come to realise that, like with a lot of stuff, that I've just been accommodating most of my life, and actually, yeah, I do prefer, like, very rarely these days do I wear jeans, for example, like, unless I'm going out somewhere and had a reason to wear them. Most of the time I will wear some sort of leggings, joggers, I don't know, something loose fitting, just comfy. Also, pretty much since lockdown, like, underwired bras have gone out the window. What the fuck was that about? Who told me I had to do that? No. But anyway, that was kind of my point, that I'm not as affected by that. But yeah, I guess for me it's more subtle. People that know me will know. I don't know, I get a lot out of being really like comfy and cozy, and I can get quite aggy when I'm not. I'm someone that runs very cold all the time, pretty much all the time, so I, like, just on a day-to-day basis, for an example, I'm always in multiple layers. When I sit down in the evening, I'll have my heated blanket on me. When I'm working during the day, I have a little plug-in heater, and I will have that on most of the time because I like the feeling of warmth. When I was growing up, I remember my mum always calling me out for like having a jumper on in the middle of summer, but I just feel so much more comfortable being cosy warm. That being said, I am really sensitive to temperature, and I guess everyone's got their limits, and like if it gets to a certain temperature, so like if I was abroad, or we have those heat waves sometimes in the UK where it goes to like 30 degrees, like once I get to the point that I am too hot, I want to rip my skin off and I hate it. But for the most part I'm cold, and I just love, I love being cozy. Anything, slippers, fluffy socks, dressing gown, blankets. Yeah, I guess that's kind of how it works for me really. And then I guess in terms of like physical touch, that is something else that I do struggle with as well. And it's another thing I think I've been super accommodating of in my life, and I've realised that I don't actually have to be. Like, I kind of feel like your personal space is sacred, and you shouldn't have to let people into it that you don't want to. So there's kind of two sides to it. There's like when you're out in public, I can't stand people that get too close to me. Like if you're queuing at like an airport or something, why can't everyone just stand like a metre apart? Why have we got to like push up against each other like it's going to get us to the front of the queue faster? I don't like feeling like I'm breathing the same air as other people that I don't know and I don't trust. Like that is weird to me. I also don't like it if I'm talking to someone I don't know very well and they kind of start like, they'll like pat you on the shoulder, or sometimes someone will try and hug you. No, I really don't like hugging. Like I don't even hug my family. Like someone's got to be a very safe person for me to do that. But that being said, what is weird is once I do trust someone with my personal space, then I'm quite like intense about it, I guess. Like I will always want to be touching or close to people I care about. It's complex basically, but I guess in general autistic people just feel physical touch more intensely, so I guess we're a bit more careful about it. I better hurry up because the sun is coming up and the lighting's getting worse and it's making my face look worse, so I'm either going to have to hurry up or turn around. But yeah, before I finish on the touch sensory stuff, I thought since I'm drinking a cup of tea I should mention that as well. I'm sure that's something like a comfort thing because I love to just hold it in my hand. Like I very rarely actually finish a cup of tea even though I like them because I get distracted. Yeah, the biggie really, my main sensory sensitivity is sound. So I was going to chat about that for a bit. So now I've got my diagnosis, a lot of stuff makes sense about sound, but I guess at the time I thought I was just a little bit weird, like as I was growing up. But I do remember certain things. I remember I used to always put my hands in my ears if a loud motorbike went past, and I never really understood why other people didn't do it. I remember I'd be scared at birthday parties because when there were balloons all over the floor and children were running around, and I didn't want them to pop because I didn't like the noise and it would make me jump. There's too much noise, and so I just don't enjoy it because I feel like I can't. It makes me uncomfortable as soon as there's too much sound, so then I just can't enjoy myself. It's kind of hard to explain unless you experience it yourself. So like, realising this though has been an absolute life changer for me, and one of the best things I ever got were my noise cancelling headphones. And when I say like I wear them every day, a lot of the day, the only thing they don't do that well, so the ones I've got, they're like Soundcore ones. I can't remember how much they were, but they weren't really cheap. They were less than £100, but the amount of use I've got out of them, the thing they don't do really, they block out a lot of like background sounds. They don't really block out speech. I often have to do is put them on in noise cancelling mode, but then also I'll play like white noise or brown noise through them, and that then allows me to focus. Then I'll just have them on when I'm around the house, and I notice I'm just less aggy if I've got them on, if there's any sort of noise happening. Something I've only discovered recently, there's actually like a name for it, I think it's called auditory processing disorder, and I 100% have that, and it explains so much that no one's ever been able to understand. I think what it means for me, is like, apparently other people can listen to more than one thing at once, but I literally physically can't. So, growing up, like, if I was trying to watch TV and someone's talking to me, that doesn't, I can't do it. Like, I have to pause the TV, talk to them, and then resume what I was doing. And people get annoyed and people think I'm being rude, but I'm like, I can't do both. So I think that's a lot of my issue as well. So like when I'm working, the reason I have these on is because if I hear anything, like if I hear someone talking, if I hear my animals, people outside, I can't focus. But yeah, that sort of thing. I will still enjoy it. It will be uncomfortable, but it's kind of worth it for the experience. But it's not something I'd want to subject myself to all of the time, basically. So I struggle really to work in the presence of other people, especially without these, which is what I really struggled with when I moved into quite a busy office when I moved to the UK. My first job, I think a lot of people struggle with that too, so the office was quite quiet, so that was nice. And now that I understand I struggle with things, there's a reason for it, and there's stuff I can do to help it. And I generally try to avoid situations where I'm going to be uncomfortable. I guess there are exceptions. It's not that I can't do any of these things, they just make me uncomfortable, and it means that it takes more out of me than it would a normal person. I'm going to a concert next week. I'm like, I don't know if I should take my noise cancelling headphones to make it slightly more enjoyable for me. I think other people, you do see people wearing ear defenders and stuff. Another thing about my hearing and sensory issues is, like, I'd be interested to know if anyone else with autism or who's neurodiverse struggles with this, but I get really weird about hearing my heartbeat, and that might be because I had a period where I was in hospital and it was to do with my heart rate, so I was a bit paranoid about it. So I don't know if it's from that or if this is to do with sensory issues. Like, if I put my noise cancelling headphones in and there's no noise, brown noise playing, basically if there's silence somewhere, actual silence, I can hear my heartbeat, and then I don't like that, because then I like hone in on it and become super aware of it, and then it freaks me out. So I'd rather just have like brown noise playing constantly. I do need the subtitles on when I watch TV, like all the time, and I think that's an accommodation I've learned, because it means that even if people are talking to me and I can't process what they're saying and what the TV's saying, I can read the subtitles. I'd honestly like it if people had subtitles when they spoke, because I feel like I take in information better being able to read the subtitles. But I mean, that might not be that far away with AI and stuff. But yeah, I do love music, but I find it kind of all consuming, so I couldn't listen to music while I'm doing work. I have to listen to white noise, because I just wouldn't concentrate on work. I would concentrate on the music. I'd better stop recording and start work, but video number 2, I guess. Hopefully it's somewhat interesting. I think next week, if I do it, I'm off work next week, so there's not really an excuse. I might cover empathy. I think empathy is quite a big one, and I want to do my research on it first. Might cover empathy, or I might cover like my need for routine and planning and what that looks like for me. But yeah, and hopefully it'll be less of a shambles next time in terms of the setup. But thank you anyone who's watching, and also yeah, thank you to anyone who watched the last video, anyone who's subscribed. It's super, I don't know what the word is. It is helpful, but I'm not doing it for the platform for the likes or subscribers. I think it's more about raising awareness, and people who are subscribing, I see it as their way, especially people I know, it's like kind of their way of saying I support you. So I really appreciate it, and anyone who's messaged me like supporting me, because this is uncomfortable for me, but I want to do it. Yeah, so see you next week, I guess.